Okay, so Caitlyn got some very interesting buffs. In case you are not aware of them, you can pause the video right here. They're on the screen. And high-elo players have been responding with very interesting item build and rune setup. So they essentially increased Caitlyn's burst damage by quite a bit. And, well, more burst damage means more burst-heavy builds. If the build and runes is all you came for, they're on the screen right there as well. But before we dwell on, or how do you say, before we linger over the build too much, you need to keep something very important in mind. You see, League of Legends really boils down to information management. By the way, sorry for no face cam in that clip here. I played this one while I was still sick with COVID. In any case, if you want to win, you must be able to take in all the information you can, then decide what's important and what isn't, so you can then ultimately make decisions based on that knowledge. And this is why I use the mythics app, who are also the sponsor of today's video. The app has many functions that you might like, but the most important one is the summoner spell tracker on the left here. Summoner spell cooldowns are a crucial piece of information, and knowing, for example, when your opponent's flash will be back up is vital to the outcome of your games. In this situation here, this already makes a big difference, because I'm in kind of a bad spot. The wave is pushing away from me and I'm all by myself, so farming is very risky. However, Kai'Sa used her flash earlier, and I clicked the respective icon, so I know she cannot aggressively flash on top of me now if anything goes wrong. Big surprise, things do go wrong and I get ambushed by Rakan. But at least Kai'Sa couldn't follow up properly, and Rakan used his flash now as well, so I also keep track of this one, helping me to make my gameplay decisions later. I highly recommend you try this in your own games, so download the mythics app right now by clicking the link in the video description or in the pinned comment. Alright, with that out of the way, back to Caitlyn. So the lane phase with Caitlyn, I mean, right now she's not really in the meta, it's all just Kai'Sa and Ashe. And Ashe is, I mean, she synergizes with the meta items better than Caitlyn does, but I mean, who cares about the meta when you can just reinvent the meta, as we can see with the build. By the way, still sorry for my voice, I'm still not completely cured. I can still feel the sickness. Anyway, enemy reaches level 2 first, so they need to be careful. Caitlyn typically quite strong in lane, so she should win this lane, really. By the way, in terms of variations with this build, of course, more burst damage, yes, sure, more lethality and everything. But the buffs directly target Caitlyn's crit scalings, you must not forget that. So I've also seen versions with Infinity Edge. I've also, on also the rune page, I've seen versions with Dark Harvest. So, but yeah, they all accentuate the fact that Caitlyn can deal a lot more burst damage than before. And yeah, right now you can already see Caitlyn abusing her range. You can really not overstate how important a range advantage is in the lane phase. So Ezreal, of course, can do a lot with his Q as well, massive range there. But of course, Caitlyn can hide behind minions and Melio as well, and then there's that. Whereas Caitlyn, she can just always auto-attack from 650 range, and very few champions can match that in any way, shape or form. So she should win lane here. We have level 3 advantage. Also, the first strike procs in lane, I mean, they are there, but you shouldn't really stress over them too much, because while you get some early gold, sure, and some damage, but really in the mid game, once you have items, it's a % damage increase. So once you have items, this is where the rune really starts to kick into gear. But as you can see from the build, you have the, I like to call it the M-Deal power spike, because, well, M-Deal is an old school lethality Misfortune player, and he always advocated for 2 lethality items into Last Whisper, which is exactly what this Caitlyn is doing as well, and we will see how that goes for him or her or them in the mid game. So right now you can already tell nice health advantage on Lux, not as detrimental for red team as it would be on a tank support, because Lux can always just stand back and use her skill shots and be relatively safe, whereas if they were playing against, let's say, an Alistar or a Leona or a Nautilus, every little bit of chip damage Caitlyn deals in lane would go a very long way, because these tank supports, they really need their health as an aggressive resource, or else they cannot go in. Lux, on the other hand, she can, yeah, she as long as she has mana, she will be useful. But of course, pressure is pressure, and you can already see red team is getting pushed in. This is also a very good thing to do in the Ezreal matchup in general, because Ezreal, during the early levels, lacks wave clear. And even in the mid and late game, oh, that's not really what you want to be doing, taking a lot of damage there. Emilio cannot shield all of it. Yeah, this was a very bad trade Caitlyn took there. I mean, obviously, you never try to walk into a skill shot, but the way you beat Ezreal, to reiterate that point, is you push him in, so he loses farm under tower, and so he cannot use his Q to harass you. If you allow him to wave clear and you are stuck under your tower, then you are a little bit in trouble, because Ezreal can then freely Q while you try to last hit, and he can stay very far away, so the tower won't protect you. So yeah, by pushing in, you're winning the matchup. Caitlyn, however, after losing that trade, needs to be a little bit more careful, needs to reposition, needs to set up the wave anew. Okay, that's a nice one. Yeah, the Emilio Q, it's a very strong slow, so Caitlyn will pretty much always hit her own Q after that. So one other thing here, you saw the Rune page, right? She took magical footwear, which is nice because with the M-Deal power spike, you do not want to, well, you need these items as early as possible because lethality is worth more the less armor the enemy has. And the higher level the enemy is, the more natural level up armor they get, right? Even if they don't buy armor, armor scales very nicely with champion levels. So you want these as early as possible, which is also, I showed you in the beginning, or when with the item graphic, they don't upgrade their magical boots before they finish those 3 items. So this is also something quite important. I mean, Caitlyn doesn't mind the attack speed, definitely. Oh, that's nasty. They're fine though. Okay, so I thought there was a big play coming, but apparently not. Lux is currently out of lane, and Kha'Zix just went for a quick drive, but it didn't really accomplish much. But yeah, they of course don't have vision right now. They need to be somewhat careful, and that was a clear warning shot right there. In any case, you do not want to delay your M-Deal power spike, or your lethality items for that matter, because, again, the enemy has less armor early game. Yes, lethality scales with your own level too, but it's more important to get it early because else it is not as effective anymore. It's just how the math goes. So they upgrade the boots relatively late. But in this lane in particular, there is an argument. Yes, of course, the inspiration path is very nice for that, so you don't need to waste the 300 gold on boots to begin with. You just get them from your rune page. But in this matchup, it would probably be it will not be bad to just go for a different rune and buy your boots, or your tier 1 boots at least early in lane, so just so you can dodge the Lux. For some reason she's mid lane right now, so you can dodge the Lux skill shots a little more reliably. That's something to keep in mind, but again, due to the synergies with early lethality, it's you don't have to feel bad about taking magical footwear. And as you can see, Caitlyn after her first base already has a Serrated Dirk, which is one of the most powerful component items in the entire game. So this is already a big plus for the build. Yo, that's nasty damage on Ezreal. He actually, due to his misstep, he walked up into Caitlyn's range, took a lot of damage for free. He probably tried to farm, but I mean, all he needed to do was wait and then farm under tower. Yes, it sucks to farm under tower on Ezreal, but it's still relatively safe and not as punishable. They will get platings no matter what, but the way Ezreal did it there, he just forfeit the wave, because now he had to recall. Like a low elo player, this is what elo is, this Diamond 1 Master-ish. A low elo player would stay probably. I mean, I see it in low elo all the time when I watch these games. They stay and then they just die under tower. So good on him to base, but making that mistake in the first place was definitely not the way to go. Anyway, Caitlyn instantly punishing with her burst damage from Serrated Dirk. As we can see, Ezreal almost back in lane. Yep, he's right there. But this goes a long way. This level disadvantage he's in, or he needs to play with now. Yeah, okay, he's level 6 right now, so not level disadvantage here. But he will always be slightly behind. Caitlyn will reach level 7 before he does, and this trend will continue throughout the entire game. And if Caitlyn plays this well, she can snowball this into something bigger. So Lux now also low. Another aspect here that comes into play is, due to Ezreal's mistake, they had to recall, or Ezreal had to recall, so Lux was in lane 1v2 then herself, and she took damage as a consequence. So when you have an asynchronous back timing with your support, or with your lane partner if you're playing the support, oh goodness gracious, Caitlyn, what are you doing? Wait, okay, we need to look at this in more detail. So Caitlyn did not realize Lux was trapping her in the bush and walks straight into her combo, which can happen. It happens to even challenger players occasionally. Ezreal with a beautiful follow-up, but look at all the damage Caitlyn deals with her E into headshots. The serrated dark power spike already showing. Yeah, E headshot Q, Lux just dies instantly. I mean, you can't really blame Lux for this, she just went for the good play here, but she did not account for the enormous bonus damage Caitlyn deals with the 10 lethality and the 55 AD she got from items already. And Ezreal also just eats an ultimate. Yeah, beautiful save from Melio, of course, Melio being a key factor here too, but this is just showing the power of Serrated Dark in lane. It's such an absurd item. Anyway, you still have to keep in mind that Caitlyn now is on low HP and effectively 0 mana, with no wards in the river, so she probably, I mean, if she has mana for a Q, she would probably try to push out this wave and then recall. Okay, now she does have mana for the Q, yep, there we go. Push the wave in, press B and go back to base. This Caitlyn also took Minion Dematerializer, which I don't agree with. I think Biscuit Delivery is always the better choice, just to have an even more oppressive lane phase, and you can use your Q more freely to push and to poke, without needing to worry about going out of mana. So Caitlyn's first item, actually not her mythic item, but instead Collector, and you need to keep that in mind. So mythic items are powerful, yes, but a lot of power is in their mythic passives, so they give you stats with, or scaling with the number of legendary items you have. Which means if you rush a mythic item, you're actually not getting anything out of that mythic passive yet. So, I mean, looking at it from the other perspective, if you rush a legendary item, you're not missing out on anything, because as soon as you finish your second item, which is then your mythic, then you already get the mythic passive from the first item, your legendary item, which you bought. And rushing Collector makes a lot more sense for Caitlyn, in my opinion, because you're already making use of that, of her crit scalings. Caitlyn's crit scalings, I mean, these were the targets for the buffs. You need to keep that in mind, and Caitlyn scales with crit naturally really well because of her headshots, because of her long range, which means she can apply her critical strike auto attacks more easily, and I mean her ultimate of course too. So her ultimate is like the best spell to have with Collector, because it scales with all three: lethality, crit, and attack damage. So you're making beautiful, perfect use of all the stats Collector give you. And if you have a look at the rune values, so First Drake gave what? Okay, apparently there's some bug in the replay. Ezreal probably stood here, E'd over, got hit by the E into headshots, and then Caitlyn just executes with ult. So, unlucky we can't see it properly, but still, Ezreal not respecting the amount of burst damage a Caitlyn with Collector can deal, and, I mean, a buffed Caitlyn with all her stats. But, as we can see, blue team has 0 vision in the river and nothing, and Lux just sneaks up behind them with probably backup, or yeah, Kha'Zix right there. Yeah, they get punished for their lack of vision. Or do they? They actually get a... Wait, do they turn this? I mean, Ezreal is dead. It's technically a 2v... What on earth? Yo, they're not respecting this Caitlyn's buffed burst damage at all. I mean, this wasn't even... Did she headshot Lux? They're just not respecting the item build, period. The buffs did not really come into play against Lux here. She just doesn't respect the fact this Caitlyn didn't go for a lame, I don't know, Stormrazor first item, and instead for a beautiful Collector. She's making perfect use of it. So this should probably be lane phase coming to a close, right? They're taking the final plating of the tower, taking this wave, and then entering the mid-game, trying to snowball their lead, trying to help the team. And team fighting with Caitlyn, I mean, the lane phase is always free on this champion, like really. Your superior range, your wave clear, everything. But in the mid-game, we will see if this Caitlyn can translate her lead into something bigger. Okay, so for now, Caitlyn actually returns to bot lane once more. Not sure why Melio is following. All Caitlyn needs to do here is farm this wave, push the next wave past river, and then roam. And Melio should really just be looking to help his team. Caitlyn should be safe enough here with this ward. Also, she did finish her Ghost Blade here, which does give her a lot of movement speed in case she gets ambushed. But yeah, okay, now they're both roaming at the same time, which is also fine, but Melio could already be here doing useful stuff, setting up vision in the enemy jungle, for example. But it's completely fine, as long as Caitlyn doesn't linger in bot lane for too long. Yeah, and enemy bot lane also responding, they don't want to be here farming or stuck in the side lane with no safety net to fall back on. But on the other hand, this is basically just lane phase part 2, which is not good for Ezreal. You don't want to lane against a Caitlyn longer than necessary. She will destroy you in lane, especially with a lead like this. And Melio gets low-key caught here, needs to flash out, which kind of sucks for him. Oh, with the exhaust, Ezreal cannot win this, right? Okay, but with a Lux backup, yeah, good flash, good flash. She needed to flash the... Or, not sure if she needed to flash the Lux laser, but it's a split-second decision and definitely understandable. You don't want to take any chances, because you don't have the okay, for a second I thought this would... I mean, Lux shield absorbed a lot of damage, but yeah, as I've said, in the split second, you don't have time to press tab and look at how strong is Lux exactly and whatnot, so you see the laser animation, you better just flash it and be safe. Also, Caitlyn does not have any form of lifesteal yet, so I mean, Melio healing exists, but she is quite susceptible to enemy poke damage. Blue team, by the way, in kind of a bad spot here. Top lane being pushed in and, well, Olaf double kill. That's not what you want to see when you play AD carry, but Caitlyn should be able to deal with him somewhat due to her range, and... Okay, no, that was just int on his part, but Caitlyn... in general, Olaf just runs down the AD carries, and you can't do much about it. But Caitlyn does stay a lot safer than other AD carries due to her range. She has more movement speed with Youmu's, and she has her E-net, so... What a crit to execute. Even without headshot, just crit, just raw crit with a double lethality item. That was rough for the enemy Lux here. But yeah, the blue team needs to get a strategy going here. They're all scattered. They need to pressure this mid lane tower. They need to push the side lanes past river. Malphite finally responding to the Ezreal push in the side lane. Ideally, well, this is fine enough from an AD carry's perspective. You only really want to go there when the wave's like here. And Caitlyn now, well, now red team actually gets mid lane tower advantage. So even though blue team is ahead in kills, you need to keep in mind map pressure, and in terms of map pressure, red team definitely has the upper hand. They both have one Drake, yes, but now with the mid lane tower advantage, blue team, you see the minions are running it down here, so red team does see what the blue team are doing, and they themselves can now rotate freely. They don't have vision here, don't have vision here. Yeah, they're clearing vision right now, so they saw them due to the ward, and yeah, this is exactly what I mean. Due to the map pressure, this is all mid lane tower disadvantage, by the way, and there's no chance. Like, as an AD carry in that situation, you can't do anything. If there's no vision set up here, this mid lane tower being gone means red team can sneak in here, through here. Kha'Zix was sitting right there, and Caitlyn had no chance there. All she could do there was sit under tower, wait for her teammates to face check, and then follow from a safe distance. Yeah, it's kind of rough for blue team. They're getting caught in all parts of the map, and now this map pressure disadvantage translates into more kills for red team, so they're really catching back up, and the only way for blue team to prevent the snowball from rolling against them... Oh goodness, oh god, this damage, oh my, this is rough. That's a big shutdown for Caitlyn too. She, at this point, has 2 lethality items plus the last whisper component. And this component, of course, only 18% armor penetration, but already the synergy is there, because the percent penetration applies before the lethality, so the value you get is insane. And this shutdown on Olaf goes a long way. But, in any case, blue team needs to take this mid lane tower if they want to get out of this chokehold. You can't really bank on the enemy making mistakes over and over again. I mean, you kind of can, because it's League of Legends and people make mistakes all the time. But ideally, you want to play in a way where you require as little mistakes as possible from the enemy to win, and map pressure is the key in that situation. So blue team should be able to get dragon control here because they have numbers advantage, but let's have a closer look at... Well, this is not really a team fight actually, this is just red team not respecting the fact they are at numbers disadvantage and running it down. So good for Caitlyn, good for blue team here, because red team had a huge opportunity to snowball this lead into something bigger, but as soon as the first teammate falls and the other teammates don't respect the fact that they're now with a 4v5, I mean, this is how you throw a game. Red team had such a beautiful opportunity to make a comeback happen, but now they lost a second dragon. And, well, the Baron ping I don't really understand this is an opportunity for blue team to throw, because you don't have the time anymore. You have you can view League of Legends like a turn-based RPG, right? You made the team fight, you got the turn, you got one turn, and you use that turn to take Dragon. If you now in the next turn try to take Baron, but the enemy in their turn now contest you while Baron has you weakened, okay, they're just not contesting. But this is in general how it goes. If you want to view it like that, this is the easiest way to understand tempo. And still, this was super risky. Kha'Zix, with a little bit better timing, could have easily stolen that Baron, and this would have been a complete disaster for blue team. So that was a super risky move. I highly recommend not ever going for this, but also one aspect of League of Legends is you might know what the correct move is in a situation. In this one, it's certainly not taking Baron, because it's super risky. All the enemies are respawning. If they all just go there, you're in huge trouble. But if your team makes that call, like if 3 or 4 out of your teammates are on Baron and you as the AD carry are concerned with it, you still have to follow, because that makes it more likely the bad play still works in your favor. Numbers advantage is truly everything in League of Legends. So, as you saw even, I mean, that one death that led to the 4v5 on Dragon, that really put the red team very far behind again. And now with the Baron buff, Caitlyn is a really good siege champion, keep that in mind. The range is not just an asset during the lane phase, also during the mid and late game, of course. It manifests in different ways, naturally. So you're not just poking them down, it would be super risky, but pushing in the wave real quick and then going for a quick headshot on the tower and backing off again, that's a viable strategy, especially when you have a rapid fire cannon on Caitlyn, which she does not right now. She buys it as a last item, because burst damage is, or main rapid fire in these days is also kind of a burst item, but actually you could buy this earlier, but then you delay your lifesteal even more. So right now Caitlyn's working on her... Okay, this Kha'Zix got away with murder, huh? I want to see how much damage that really dealt. So Malphite ults him, he was at full. Malphite ults, does his cute little combo, then the Caitlyn ult connects. Goodness gracious, that was that was a little too close for comfort for this poor Kha'Zix. Anyway, what blue team are doing right now here is they are, well, it looked like they're trying to bring Baron buff to different or to multiple lanes to apply as much pressure as possible, but they somehow end up fighting this fed Olaf, which is not what you want to do. So they're executing, it's a nice strategy, but they're not executing it properly here. Olaf, I wouldn't be surprised if Olaf just takes down a Fury as well. Actually, never mind, release date difference. But in general, you wanna, if you wanna split with Baron, you wanna do it the smart way, the right way, which means you let the minions run it down, the Baron buff minions, which take long to clear for the red team or for the enemy team. And once they start clearing, they show themselves on the map, so you see exactly how many enemies are where, and the lane that has the most pressure on them. So if multiple enemies are mid lane, for example, so to keep the Baron buff or the Baron minions in check, then the people in bot lane can push more, because they don't need to worry about all the people they can see in mid lane, because they're in mid lane, not in bot lane, and so you create pressure there with Baron minions, and that's incredibly difficult for the enemy team to respond to. So this is in general how you want to do it. You don't want to just oonga boonga fight. You want to monkey see, monkey do. No, you want to make use of these buffed up minions. Baron buff does give some combat stats, but not too many. It's just 40 AD and 40 AP, if I remember correctly. But the minion buffs, that's a big deal. You want to make use of these huge minions. Anyway, Caitlyn, now, just having based, look at her items. She has a full Lord Doms. Okay, she had that before, but no full Bloodthirster yet. Anyway, this little bit of lifesteal. Oh my god, this ult damage is wild. And keep in mind, this is where First Strike really starts to kick into gear. She has a lot of items, she has 2 points in ult, and this percent value is translates into a lot of gold. So 800 damage dealt, not too shabby, but 600 gold gained. That's 2 extra kills in terms of gold, just for essentially pressing R when it's convenient. Beautiful. Very good rune on Caitlyn. Again, what on earth? Okay, just free trap into headshot combo. Yeah, there we go. And this team fight is probably... Yeah, Caitlyn just runs out of there. And if you have a look at her positioning, this is the exact situation that I mean. Olaf runs down the AD carry, but Caitlyn with Ghost and with her range, so she didn't need to get as close to begin with. She can essentially just... Yeah, she can kite him out. And Olaf, his ult now is gone as well, so he can be crowd controlled again. And now Caitlyn is at optimal range for auto-attacking, so she just goes for it. The 9% lifesteal, yeah, this is why you can get away with buying lifesteal late too, because if you're fighting with Caitlyn optimally, you're ideally just standing outside the enemy's range. But look at this. This is the buffed crit headshot. That was 60%, maybe even more, but roughly 60% of Ezreal's HP. He cannot fight anymore. He tried to flank there, tried to duel Caitlyn, but immediately needs to retreat out of, or due to one single auto attack. It's so crazy. The damage is insane. Probably, I mean, in the early game, the Yomu's Ghostblade version is better, but in the late... Oh, these crits, man. In the late game, with an Infinity Edge version, which I've also seen, Infinity Edge Dark Harvest, the pure late game setup, man, this would be even more damage. But as it is, this build, stronger early, and even now, the damage is absolutely absurd. And for good measure, Caitlyn gets the plant, reveals Ezreal, and just executes him with her ultimate. And as a reward, I mean, now red team needs to skip their turn because they're all dead. Blue team's turn, they can take dragon completely for free. Now on 3 dragons, take the free stuff, win the game, of course. The more objectives you have, the better. And Caitlyn will probably now, before Baron spawns, go back to base and upgrade her items at least. That's what I would recommend after you win a team fight. You don't want to sit there on 1,000 gold, or, well, 1,000, not as much, but on all the team fighting. Wait, Kha'Zix, is he okay? He is okay, alright. Yeah, Caitlyn also doesn't have ultimate right now, but Caitlyn probably should have just based and upgraded her items. And Baron, I mean, Baron is not on the map yet, so she should have time for this. But instead she just helps her jungler. Okay, now she finally bases. This gives me some peace of mind. Part of me already was worried that she would fight with all the gold in her pocket and no items to show for it. Anyway, she stayed regardless, ulted the Lux for 60% of her health from full, and now she's dead. This is... You have so much pressure, your ult has so much value. It's insane. If there is no teammate, no Olaf or anybody nearby who can body block the bullets, you're just destroying people. And now this is the situation where Caitlyn does attend to the wave because it's directly under tower, so it's not as risky to push it. Or, well, push it to stop the tower from taking it all. Yeah, good scouts with the blue trinket. This is why you take blue trinket on AD carry, by the way, because if you have yellow trinket and try to ward the bush, it's too late. Olaf is too close, you just die. And she is quite confident he's not in the bush anymore. I mean, it makes sense. Olaf knows he's been detected, and then probably just looks for a different plan. But it's still a gamble. He could still just predict you're predicting him to go away and stay there, and then, well, punish you for over-predicting, essentially. So this was still risky. I would have taken a different path, but it worked out here, and okay. They almost risked the Baron steal again, but I mean, at the same time, there's still a control ward in the pit, so Kha'Zix would need some guesswork to know at which HP value the Baron truly is, and this makes this play a lot safer than it actually looks, especially in this situation. In the late game, Baron drops so fast. Okay, another ult. How much gold was that? Can we see that? First strike trigger, +5, +60. Essentially a free early game cannon minion. Right now cannons give 90 gold, of course, because game timer. But 60 gold just for pressing R, and this adds up over the course of the game. Right now we're already at 1.3k damage, 1k gold. That's insane. You're getting your items very consistently with First Strike and Caitlyn. You can trigger it all the time. And, I mean, the value is even bigger right now, because the ult got buffed last patch, which is the premise of this video and of what these players are doing. Okay, this is kind of... Did you see that crit? It was nasty. Ahri tried to punish Caitlyn there, but she just netted backwards and hit her with a buffed headshot square in the face for 1,100 damage. Unreal. But red team still with some counterplay. This Olaf is a menace. He is taking down Melio and Lee Sin 1v2. Yeah, that does not look good for blue team. They have Baron. They should be on the offensive. Anyway, all the damage Ahri could have dealt to Caitlyn there doesn't matter anymore because Bloodthirster. And let's see if she can take some revenge here. Olaf quite tanky. But she stays safe. Olaf does not have ult. She can always net backwards. Yeah, your barrage of auto attacks eventually brings him down anyway. So if you have a look at Olaf's items, yeah, with Hullbreaker and plated steel caps, he has a lot more armor than his teammates, of course. But, I mean, you still have a Caitlyn with Berserker Screeve's attack damage, or attack speed, and all the attack damage behind it. And a Zeal at this point, working towards rapid fire cannon. So, you don't need to one-shot the tanks, you can just keep autoing them. And with lifesteal, that shouldn't be a problem. But what is a problem is that this Ezreal took 80% of his HP in damage. And Caitlyn probably gained another 70 gold for that or something. But the jump with net, even in combination with Ghostblade's movement speed active, not enough to close the gap in time. In any case, blue team are respawning. Olaf is respawning in 3. And this next fight will be about Dragon Soul. Let's have a look how Caitlyn plays this out. Malphite finds the ult. Caitlyn does not have her own ult, but this should still be a dead Ahri. Yeah, she's just gone. Caitlyn can stand at max range, keep autoing. This Kha'Zix takes 20% of his HP as damage, even with non-headshot crits. And there's no way they can defend this dragon at this point. So, I mean, Olaf might try. He might try, actually. And Lux might try to steal with her laser. There are outs. This is just bullying at this point. Another 80% health. And let's see how much gold Caitlyn earns for this. +5. +92. She almost gets 100 gold for one ulti. I mean, at this point, she's approaching full build, so the gold doesn't matter as much. You might think. But with this Caitlyn build, especially with Ghostblade, you need to keep in mind you can still buy another crit item, another Zeal item. She could sell boots. She can make use of the gold by selling boots for Phantom Dancer for a true 6 items build. You won't miss the movement speed. You have 2 Zeal items then, Rapid Fire and PD. And you have Ghostblade with its active and the passive, so you're not missing out on anything. And you're just way stronger than all your opponents because they need to rely on boots. Did you just crit the minion for 2000 damage? I mean, it's a minion, but still, 2000 is quite the number to hit. It's more HP than Caitlyn has herself, right? Well, actually not, she has 2200. But, anyway, when you go for the Ghostblade version that you see right here, you can still sell your boots late game, and you should. For an extra Zeal item, you will have the exact same of... Alright, Lux. Yeah, this just... What can Lux do? All she can really do there is stand close enough to her team so someone can block the bullets and then hope for the best, because even her teammates won't appreciate that Caitlyn ulti. And this, I mean, this is just a disaster. That was a huge opening for blue team, and they will finish the game right here. But yeah, beautifully played. I really like the look of this build, but let me know what... I wanted to say, let me know what you think, but this game keeps going. This Olaf, okay, I mean, it's a 1v5, so who am I kidding? Anyway, let me know what you think of the build, and if you want to get better at AD carry, watch my macro guide if you haven't already. It's on the screen right there.